Hey everyone, thanks for being here. Happy October.
Hey, John.
Hey, John, and everybody.
We'll give some time for folks to join us. We'll get started around 4:05. Mina, it looks like you've joined us. Thanks for being here as well. Glad to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, everybody.
And it's 4:03, but it looks like we have a little bit of lighter attendance today. I wonder if we just want to jump in and maybe do something a little bit different today since there's so few of us. But we still have the meetings recorded and they're posted on YouTube, so we do see some viewership after the meetings who want to catch up on the agenda and things like that. So in the sake of maybe looking at a shorter meeting today, Mina, would you mind jumping the agenda and getting us kicked off with your presentation on the arts?
No, not at all. I'd be happy to do that. Thanks for having me. So
Now,
there.
I may have a problem with my microphone, but I'm not hearing your audio come through. I can see you just
Oh,
fine,
um,
and it
I can
doesn't look
I
like
can
you're
hear
on mute.
I
Does
can
anyone else
hear
hear
her,
Mina?
John.
I
yeah.
can hear her.
I can hear Mina fine, but John, you're really low.
Me too.
Maybe that sounds like it's maybe just mine. I'm going to figure this out. Okay, let me try that. And could someone say something?
Hi.
Oh, perfect. It must have been me the whole time. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I'll turn it back over to you, Mina. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Actually, it's Minna, but
Mina.
yeah. I'm one of the partners at Partners Gallery, and in summer of 2023, six, now we're seven of the galleries in Mendocino formed a group calling ourselves Art Galleries of Mendocino in order to share marketing and advertising. As you all know, advertising is very expensive, and art galleries have very little revenue. So we've done some advertising, music festival, and the Word of Mouth magazine, etc. And we may do some events coming up in the future. I kind of wanted to share uh, just briefly our let's see, oh no, entire screen. Let's see, share, open settings. I'm not sure if this is gonna work.
No problem. Yeah, take your time if you want me to pull up the website
Well,
instead.
you could. I actually just copied it out as a text, but I mean, it's not important. We do have a website now. It's called Art Galleries of Mendocino, so people can find out about the individual galleries. Oh, there it is. Okay, great. And on the next page, you can see the galleries that links to each of the gallery websites. And so we wanted to make you aware of that. And also, basically, what what I want to. Is somebody talking? You can take that away. It's not, I'm not going to really use it. I just wanted to show everybody that we have it. So essentially we wanted to let you all know that of our existence. And I mean, I know that when people come to stay, they want to know, what kinds of things they can do when they come into town. And previous to the pandemic, a lot of us had cards and things that we left at the various inns so that, people would know where to go and, what kinds of art they might be interested in seeing. And I understand that most of the inns and visitor serving places won't take those cards anymore. But we wanted to try to figure out a way that we could get information to you so that people would, know what's going on in the galleries. So you know, I, I'm open to a conversation about that. If there's something that we should be doing, or how we can get the information to you.
Wonderful, Minna. Thank you. Yeah, this is
One has thoughts about that.
it's helpful to see this as a resource. Thanks for really just coordinating this and producing this. And I imagine as lodging operators will be able to reference at least the galleries page when sending our guests out to explore the different galleries. Do you have a sort of a vision to include the surrounding area, up and down the coast or even inland at some point, or will this be specific to the Mendocino
No,
actual town?
we wanted to keep it specific to Mendocino. I mean, one of the galleries involved is the art center, and of course, that's a really important part of the of the village or the town of Mendocino. And so we just wanted to keep it local. It gets a little unwieldy if you try to include other galleries. I don't know, Fort Bragg might be doing something of their own. Basically, yeah.
So I just, I was
Janet.
going, yeah, I was gonna, I'll talk about my brochures and promotional stuff a little bit
Uh-huh.
later, but as far as it relates to you, twice a year, Visit Mendocino puts out a print brochure, and then we also list everything on our website for events and special events and special shows. And it's an opportunity for you to let us know if you guys are doing anything special during, like we're currently in our Harvest Festival mode. In January 24th to February 2nd, we'll be in our Seafood and Sips mode. And
Mhm.
what we do is we would list anything to do with your galleries, and it goes out, thousands and thousands of copies of these brochures go out, including to each of the lodging partners. So
Mhm.
that's a really easy, free advertising you can do with Visit Mendocino. And of course, you can post any special shows, any gallery offerings on the website as an individual event. But I'm working on that Seafood and Sips brochure right now. So if there's anything that you guys want to add to it, now would be the time.
Okay. I think I'm aware of that particular event. I think one of the galleries already had spoken with Jane. We had a meeting with Jamie she's with Visit Mendocino, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we talked about some of these things, and yeah, so we're aware of that. So
Okay.
thanks for the reminder. We're meeting next week, so we'll probably I
Okay.
don't
Time is of the
know.
essence.
Okay.
And then I just want to say something. Hang on a second. I happen to tune in at just the right time.
Hi,
We
Jeff.
hi Minna. We print for Bill Mulvihill and the Mendocino Arts Council a monthly calendar, and they print 100 of them. They used to print 125, and I don't know where they're all going, but they get distributed throughout the county. I don't mind if somebody puts it together, printing whatever you need to have here that you can deliver, somebody can deliver around town, and maybe Bill is doing that, and you can ask him one just for the Mendocino and Fort Bragg galleries,
Mhm.
because we've been doing it anyway in support of the Arts Council. We have a fancy printer here that does it.
Mhm.
So it's something worth checking in with Bill on.
Okay, great. That sounds really good. Yeah. I mean, I know that there is, every year they do print up a, gallery guide for the, for Mendocino. So I think they're working on that.
Right. But that's actually it's been the Arts, and Dale Moyer does that.
Right, right. Yeah.
But the one that I'm talking about is actually sponsored by the county organization. But
Mhm.
this doesn't need sponsoring. If somebody produces it, we'll print it.
Okay, great. That's good to know. Great. Good. Um, yeah, so I mean, is there any possibility of having something at all of the inns that's printed that, lists the 7 galleries that are in the group, like a rack card or anything like that? Do you think that inns would be willing to have that on display, or is that still something that is discouraged?
No, I think it's a great idea. Like Jeff said, if it's produced and it becomes a resource for guests to be able to learn about the visitor infrastructure, it's always a nice thing to have. So,
Huh?
I'd be happy to certainly incorporate it at our hotels. I imagine there's many more. It'll probably just be case by case which properties would, elect,
Okay.
yeah, to put those out. But I think if it's available, you'd see more encouraged to participate than less anyway.
So would it be possible for you to send something to all your members, and then they could contact us if they're interested in having something? Because
I sure can. I think what we might find from that is if it's kind of like if it's available and there's outreach from, yeah, I know that you're getting started with the web page, but if there's outreach from your organization,
yeah,
typically there'll be greater participation than if we ask for a
okay,
response because we
got it.
might, yeah, just sometimes the response comes slowly. And so I'd
Yeah,
hate for you to, yeah. And then Scott and Joe have their hands raised if you want to take some questions, Minna.
yeah. Scott?
I put in the chat also, but
Okay,
the Andiron in Little River accepts rack cards and makes them
okay.
available to guests. The only thing I'd say, because I lost you for a little bit, but if you were saying that your advertisement would be like a long-term one, or would it be just event per event?
Well, what we were thinking about doing is printing up a rack card, which is, long, narrow
Right. Uh-huh.
card that lists, like a picture of each of the galleries, that it wouldn't change necessarily every month. Some of the galleries don't change every month, like Highlight
Okay.
Gallery
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Prentice, they don't change, but some of the other
Okay.
galleries do. So it would just be, something that people could take in their hand, and then when they come into town, if they looked like something they were interested in, they could then, go into the gallery.
Um, so in that case, what we do, so we've got a ton of rack cards in the lobby that are
Okay.
usually advertising something upcoming, and then we throw them out when the uh,
Okay.
thing ends. But if
Mhm.
it's a long-term thing, as you described, we have them both in the rack and we put them in the guest welcome books in each
Oh,
room.
great. Okay.
We only do that for long-term things because
Right.
it's so
Yeah,
difficult to
sure.
keep changing keep pulling them out and putting them in and that sort of thing.
Uh-huh. Okay. Great.
Thank you.
And was
So,
there somebody else who had?
yeah, I did. We sold our inn, but we had an area in the inn that had all kinds of information. So rack cards, folding cards, And then I also had like a cork board in an old frame. And when people had events and they came around and handed out flyers, I hung those up. The thing is that I started seeing, and I'm seeing more, is any of that stuff now is all online.
Right,
And having it online, somebody has to actually go looking for it.
right.
So I get that you want to get them in front of people. I think it's a good idea.
Mhm.
But what I found is the people that were supplying the rack cards
Mhm.
and the flyers, they would actually pay somebody to go door to door and bring them. And it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, and I didn't have more than I needed, but
Mhm.
I was happy with what I got that way.
Mhm.
So, but what Janice is offering, you know, is it doesn't cost you anything, and you just give them your information
Yeah,
and they would just put that out for you.
right.
And that stuff gets into people's hands more because that website is the whole county.
Yeah.
So I didn't have all those events on my own website.
Mhm.
And I mean, Jeff has events on his website, but he also holds a bunch of them.
Right, right.
So I just think that you got to look at all of it, but you got to get yourself as far as you can,
Mhm.
because and then you got the kids with their QR codes,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
we
those
are
don't
working
work
on
up here.
QR code. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, we're working on a QR code that would be posted at all the galleries. That, if somebody came by, they used it, they would see, it would take them to the website. So we're working on that. Yeah. So we are actually working on a joint event, that an exhibition for July in relation to the music festival at the same time, that is related to music. So that would be, all the galleries would be having a show related to music. And we think that would generate a lot of buzz outside the area, and in conjunction with the music festival and all their contacts. So that is something that we're thinking about doing more of.
Well, that's
So,
great.
yeah,
Yeah, and Minna, perhaps offline we can just brainstorm on the best ways to at least distribute some of this information. But
sure.
like you said,
Yeah,
maybe one way is we can send out an email and offer your contact information for those ends who would
great.
like to receive some rat cards, and
Perfect.
at least a link to the gallery or the website, that shows a little bit of what's going on.
That
And
sounds
hopefully,
great.
yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
wonderful. We want to have as much exposure to the arts, for our guests. So thanks for putting this together.
great. So John, I don't know what your in is.
Oh,
Oh,
sure. Yeah,
I I I used to have Denon's Victorian Farmhouse in Little River.
Okay.
And we had it for 20 years.
Oh, all right.
We sold it, but I'm still doing piecework for VMC. And so I'm still involved with the tourism.
Oh, okay.
And that's, and I'm not selling anything myself,
Okay.
just the fact that we need to get it out there.
Okay, perfect. And John, what is your in?
yeah, I operate the Beachcomber Hotel Group over in Fort Bragg.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah, and
I
so
ride I ride my bike by your hotel like 3 or 4 times a week. So
oh, fantastic. We'll see you then. You'll be a great resource for delivering some of our rack cards. That's
yeah,
that's
yeah.
great.
Well,
Um,
thank you so much for the time,
Thanks
and
for being here. Yeah, we're
and
glad to.
we'll be in touch again.
Great. And
Great.
before you head out, I
Okay.
did see a hand from Janice. Did you have anything
Oh,
left over, Janice, you wanted to throw in?
No, it was just about the QR code, that if you are going to do a rack card, it just goes both ways. If you've got that QR code on it, people who
yeah.
don't want to take the card will just snap it
Right.
and go to your website.
Great. Perfect. All right. Well, thanks so
All
much.
right.
And
Thanks for being here.
all right. Thanks for giving me the time.
All right.
All right.
Wonderful.
Take care.
And so yeah, well, looks like we still have some time on the clock, so we'll jump back over to the agenda here. And Minna, you're welcome to stick around or hop off, whatever you like. And let me go ahead and pull that up on my screen just so we can reference it here. Okay. And there's a couple of faces, I think mostly Jeff Stanford. It's good to see you on the call. Was there anything that stuck out on the agenda that made you want to join today? Anything you want to go over?
No, I just I would join it more often. Usually I'm doing something in the kitchen, but right now I saw your announcement and I signed in. I'm going to have to leave in about 15 minutes. And by the way, I don't know about anybody else. My experience is that our guests aren't really good about picking. That's why I've got things quiet here. Picking up the rate card. I mean, not rate cards. I'm sorry, rack cards. They tend to sit down. I don't know if many of you have places for people to sit down and look at stuff that's laying around. That's usually folded. I mean, the least of that is the 101 guide. But before COVID, there was the Traveler's Guide or whatever it was called that was being produced here. People would go really through that, and we need something that people can browse through. At these hotels because they can promote a lot of art activities and all that. It seems to work better than we can't get people to go online and look at stuff. They just tend to get lost in line, Facebook or whatever they like, Instagram, if you know what I mean.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So I
I
mean, like if VMC put together an Instagram thing of stuff going on in Mendocino that maybe they're and held it all together, where people could look at pictures of it and get, imagine themselves in the picture or whatever, it might help. That's not my expertise. I don't really have an expertise, but particularly in advertising anymore, but something like that people will get engaged with.
Well, sure. I think the rack card, some people enjoy grabbing them and some people never look at them and never want to touch them. And like you said, so it kind of depends. But I know VMC produces and emails out a regional list of events that our hotels print and distribute in our lobbies, and then to our guests that kind of show what's going on, and whether or not those guests decide to go onto an Instagram or find their website. I'm not quite sure, but it is nice to be able to have a list of things to do for people who are visiting the area. I agree with that completely.
Yeah, and it should be area specific, just simply because whatever's going on, if you're in Ukiah and staying at the Comfort Inn or something like that, you don't need to go through a bunch of stuff that you're not going to probably engage in. But if they got a fair there, they want to know that there's a fair, on Orchard or someplace, down the road.
Oh, absolutely. Did you, Janice or anyone on the VMC team want to do a quick plug for the differentiated
Yeah.
regional events calendar?
Yeah, so that calendar of events, it goes to an internal mailing list, and the goal for that is to have the lodging operators or businesses print those out. Typically, we do it twice a month. The goal is to have them out for guests to look at while they're in their area, see what's happening, and we do divide those at least it's inland or coastal. Um, so that's divided up on what's happening on the coast and what's happening inland. We just rebranded a few new brochures. So we have it's a calendar of events, which is all the big events throughout the whole county, broken down by location and what month they take place traditionally in. We just got into the office today our new printed Pets Guide. And then from a magazine perspective, we have a really nice a visitor guide that we put together that's on really nice paper. And some of the lodging properties have used it as kind of like coffee table piece, things to do, activities and businesses and so forth. But yeah, I mean, we're always open to input as to what the lodging industry feels what they would like, or certain things that might be a benefit to the industry as a whole, and definitely consider working on projects like that.
Great, Ramon. Thank you. It's yeah, always important to talk about that stuff. So I see Scott with his hand raised. Go ahead, Scott.
In response to Jeff requesting more localized rack cards, I might suggest, like VMC puts out when they send emails to stakeholders of things going on, that they kind of separate into two things, one on the coast and one in the rest of the county. I think that's very helpful because then just on that one page, you can choose what you want to look at. But the real thing that I wanted to say was through the magic of Facebook, I'm suddenly getting a lot of friend requests from Ukiah and Willits, which I haven't met them personally, but I accept the friend request. And then as I begin to watch their postings, it appears that people in Willits and Ukiah spend almost all of their time on the coast, because that's all that they seem to post. I don't see much, about inland scenery or, so it just seems like folks on the east side are typically on the west side quite a bit. Doesn't need to be differentiated, but anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
Thanks very much, Scott. Well, why don't we jump back over to the agenda? We could talk about our first item there. That we're going over the survey results for October 2024. It also discusses most of Q3, so we can look at that real quick before moving on. And I'll share my screen just so we can all look at it at the same time. All right. So jumping in, we have survey results for October 2024. The first question on the survey: how did August 2024 turn out for business? We had a total of 36 respondents, owners or operators, and you can see the data visualization there, scale showing 38.9%, 38.89 responded in the positive versus 27.78% responses that did not go as well, and 33% were neutral. Here's the hard numbers below, but tipping the scale slightly to the better for August for the area. In September, it was just the opposite, not dramatically different, but certainly a little bit skewed towards things turning out worse versus last year. We had 33% better and then 27% neutral, and then the full numbers down here at the bottom. Question 3 was, how are things shaping up for October so far? And this is pretty much a mid-month check-in since the survey was launched middle of last week. And what we're seeing is that, again, scale is tipping towards the better. So October is looking a little bit better for those who chose to respond to the survey. And 40% of us feeling that way. I responded positively as well. So that's in line with my observations. And question 4, we have, what about the whole Q3, July through September? How did people do? And it was pretty darn close to being level, with the highest total response being a little bit higher, but as it balances out, it's almost even, higher versus lower. And then with 25% of the respondents reporting a neutral performance over last year for Q3. And last question for the survey, looking ahead, how is Q4, October through December, shaping up? And while we had 16% saying it was neutral and 19% saying it was too soon to tell, unfortunately, the majority of respondents are weighing a lower performance year over year for Q4. And so hopefully that turns around for the industry as a whole. And as a reminder, all of these survey results will be posted on the agenda through email on the MCLA listserv, but they'll also be a part of this recording, which is published on YouTube. So I'll send the link out for that. Before we move on to the agenda, any questions on how the survey results shaped up? Any general thoughts or observations that we want to discuss? Yeah, hearing none, I guess we'll move along. Going back to the agenda here. And we have some cleanup items. Oh, it looks like we've skipped ahead and we've already seen Mina with the art galleries of Mendocino. So now we'll turn it back over to the VMC folks. Ramon, did you want to kick us off with your standing agenda item?
Yeah, I mean, and Janice can weigh in. We are currently gearing up for Harvest Mendocino, which will start off with the Magic Market in Fort Bragg. The first Saturday of November, the Mushroom Whiskey and Wine Train will take place at the Skunk Train. But there's a lot of events happening over the course of a 4-week period, a lot of mushroom themed events happening. There's a full list on the visitmendocino.com website. If you click that on the homepage, there's a button that'll lead to the brochure. We're also working on holiday offerings and putting together a promotional package and campaign surrounding ongoing annual things that happen, whether it's, let's say, botanical gardens or tree lightings, or the parades and holiday themed things that we have had submitted and know are happening. So we're working on that, and Janice is also working on our Seafood and Sips event at the end of January, beginning of February, which will have two anchor events. One on the coast being the crab cake and wine competition cook-off, and then the other event being inland and Hopland, being a sparkling wine and oyster celebration, along with other seafood inspired menus, special stays, and special offerings. But yeah, I mean that's kind of my update. Janice, if you have more to add, feel free.
So I just wanted to say we've all been very busy handing out these brochures. We're really excited that this season we're also having the brochures posted or distributed at the Santa Rosa Airport. So that should be great. Also at the Santa Rosa Cal Travel Visitor Center. So if anyone, I'm looking at everyone's name on the screens. I think that I missed Mendocino Bungalow, so I'll come by with some brochures for you. Stuart, I don't know if you need any out there in Far East Camshi, but I think everyone else on the call here has received them. So, Allie, you can expect to see me, and Stuart, just let me know if you want me to bring some out to you. And if you have anything at all, or you hear of anything at all going on for the period from January 24th to February 2nd, my deadline for that inclusion in the print was Friday, but I am working on it still this week. So if you have anything, or if you know of anything coming up, just let me know and I'll get you included in that print brochure. But just don't ever forget, we may be printing the brochure, but you can always add something later and we can get it up online on the online version or listing on our event site for you for everything you've got going on. But in particular, I'm looking for lodging specials. And again, we've talked about this before. It doesn't have to be a discount. It can be like, say, Mendocino chocolate has a wonderful little dark chocolate disc with a crab imprinted on it and seafood flavoring. You could give that to a guest or things like that. Something fun that kind of ties in with the whole theme of seafood and sips. And as an example, one of my favorite things we're doing this year, the film festival is partnering with Little River Inn, and they're going to show the 25th anniversary of Sideways, and then have a winemaker pouring Pinot and a winemaker pouring Merlot. So, we don't need to get caught up in that it has to be seafood. It could be a coffee tasting or a tea thing. Or anyway, I'm just putting out some ideas for you. So I'm anxious to hear from you all. And that's it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Janice. And back to you, Ramon. Did you want to throw the baton at any other VMC folks or anything else you wanted to put on this agenda item?
No, I guess the only other thing, because I'm looking at the agenda, would be we send like about twice a year, we try to do it, a reminder to businesses in the county to update their listing on their website. They might have new images, or they'd like to change the description, or contact information has changed. So I just encourage everyone to check it out. And if there are any changes, just send them our way so we can make them.
Perfect. Yeah. You may have gotten the email that I forwarded on from someone I think who saw the agenda and thought that I was responsible for helping them with their listing. So I forwarded it on. I just want to make sure that made its way over to you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, you're very welcome. Okay, great. Thanks very much, BMC. And we'll go back to the page here. And just we're gonna go ahead and clean up the rest of the agenda. And anyone who would like to weigh in, feel free to unmute, yeah, or put your stuff in the chat or raise a hand, whatever you'd like. Next agenda item is election day compliance reminder. So this is an important reminder, especially this time of year where there's paid time off for voting. And I'm going to make this a little bigger in case anyone has a hard time seeing it. So as election day approaches, California employers must post a notice by October 26th, which is in 5 days, informing employees of their right to paid time off for voting. This notice required under California Elections Code should be displayed in a visible location at the workplace. Employees are entitled to up to 2 hours of paid time off to vote if they lack sufficient time outside working hours, and they are entitled to take additional unpaid time off if necessary. Employers may require that employees provide advance notice if they need time off to vote, and may require that time may be taken at the beginning or end of shifts. Click the links below to download the required notice from the California Secretaries of State website, and to ensure compliance, post the notice again by 26th of this month. So a couple of links here that has an English and a Spanish version of the time off to vote flyer, and the source is Secretary of State website there. Kind of a really cool deal. Just south of us, the lodge at Bodega Bay was just named #1 in the world by Condé Nast Traveler. So you may have already seen the list of the top 50 best hotels in the world released yearly by Condé Nast. And this year was the lodge at Bodega Bay. And just kind of curious, if has anyone actually visited this lodge or know of anyone who has?
I have. I've stayed there. So it's
Great.
like I've stayed there. It's like, really? #1? I've been a lot of places in the world that were a lot nicer than that.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear when did you stay, Janice?
Let's see. I probably would have stayed. It was before the pandemic.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if anything has changed as far as their, you know, operation strategy. It's quite an honor, obviously, to receive this accolade, but it kind of got me thinking that Bodega Bay isn't that far of a departure from an experience as a destination than the Mendocino coast, obviously. And so there really maybe should be and could be more conversation around why this has become such an appealing location to receive such a vote. And I wonder, Ramon, if your team has seen this publication or if you have had any conversation internally about maybe this being an opportunity to highlight the similarities between this lodge that's received the first place vote versus many lodges along the Mendocino coast who probably can offer a similar experience. And maybe
Yeah,
that'll
no,
just,
I haven't seen the full list, but I'll take a look at it.
yeah, it could be something in there, to piggyback on at least. I thought it was pretty amazing. There's, I think only one other top 10 California property in there, and it's in Palm Springs, which is, definitely a different experience than up here. So,
Yeah. Something to, I guess, to know along those things regarding awards. Travel and Leisure named Elk as one of America's best small food and wine towns, which was reached. Obviously, it was a Travel and Leisure award and feature, but that garnished a lot of a huge reach with various outlets and television and so forth, which is really cool for elk.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's right. And what is it the restaurant that's rumored to have just earned a second Michelin star or could earn a second Michelin star or something like that?
They already have two.
Oh, they do have two. Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
know if it was one or two.
I mean, hopefully in the future it might be three.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, a popular topic, how hotels are displaying resort fees. As this group is well aware, the California junk fee law passed in July of 24, so that was just 3 months ago. And now there is information being published about how hotels are finding convenience in displaying those junk fees. So there's a link from Hotel News, but there are different ways that hotels are complying with the law and showing the breakdown of fees. Hotels should focus on clarity throughout the booking process, communicate the value of resort fees, and ensure consistent messaging to prevent guest confusion, ultimately building trust and enhancing the guest experience. So hopefully this group has found a decent way to navigate that law. Just sort of a public announcement. There's an unapproved fire extinguisher sold in California by AKE Safety Equipment. And it looks like this. So just wanted to shout that out in case for whatever reason you've just purchased a whole bunch of them. They're potentially dangerous and extinguishers are not safe to use and must be removed from service immediately. So if you find one, please report it to CAL FIRE office of the state fire marshal. There's information on that flyer I just opened. And Ramon, you've just talked about how to review your business listing, so thank you for that. Last couple of items on here. Nationwide workforce shortage challenging for operators. U.S. hotel industry is experiencing a labor shortage. 67% of hotels reporting staffing issues despite rising wages and benefits. Hotels are offering perks like same-day pay, flexible schedules, and employee discounts to attract workers, but the shortage continues to impact their operations. To address this, hotel companies are focusing on marketing job opportunities, enhancing employee onboarding, and creating career growth programs, while also advocating for government solutions like expanding the H-2B visa program. A couple of follow-up questions to this group. Maybe I should have done a straw poll, but would anyone like to weigh in on whether you are experiencing staff shortages coming out of the peak season, or is this a time where you're naturally seeing a reduction in your staffs? And maybe that you don't have an opinion whatsoever. I'm just curious where you're at. And hearing none, we can
Don,
just,
I know from a standpoint of events, we always run into a dip when the young people go back to school because a lot of our summer workers are either older high school students or college kids that are home. And another thing that impacts staffing just in general in Mendocino County is the lack of available childcare for people.
right. Yeah, that's true. That's a very serious thing in the area. Thanks for weighing in. And Marcus, excuse me, Stuart Marcus on the chat. Oh, he's saying he would like some brochures. Thank you for that. I'll make sure that Mina gets that information. Great. And we're probably ahead of schedule today. So last bit of information. If anyone is planning on visiting the 2025 Inspire Conference and Marketplace. Sorry, did I hear somebody?
Yeah, sorry. I meant
Oh,
to.
Scott, go ahead.
Yeah, we don't have any staffing problems because we still hire the formerly unhoused who all stay with us. God, I mean, we did this during COVID and they're all still with us and they may be with us if we ever even sell the inn. They may stay with us because they love it so much. And now they all have homes and cars and cell phones. And because now they have cell phones, they post great things about the andiron on Facebook and other social media too. So there's even more benefit than just upping your staffing. Our experience has been incredibly dedicated employees.
That's wonderful. And you just said that they have places to stay now. Are you offering them some kind of
No,
housing
no,
or
no. They've all found their own housing. Of course,
great?
it's all in Fort Bragg, so it's very good. They also have cars to get them. So when this first started, they were all from the hospitality house in Fort Bragg and didn't have transportation and didn't have cell phones. And so if you wanted to contact them, you had to call like the front desk and they would handwrite out a message. But then, if they didn't show up to get it, it would disappear. And so it was problematic for a while in that my office manager brought everybody in and took everybody home. But sometimes they'd be sitting out, in front of hospitality house wondering where a missing person was, and the contact was difficult. But now, you know, now she doesn't have to transport people because they've got cell phones. We communicate in group chats, and works out great.
That's great. How many unhoused people do you think you've employed now since you started the process?
Well, we currently have five. There were some that didn't work out, although there was not anything wrong with them, and they, in fact, were as great as the other employees. But some found, other things that they were interested in going into, and we wish them well. So probably, since COVID happened, we've employed 10, and we currently still have five.
Oh, great. And are there particular departments you feel where you've seen a trend that they excel in or that they're interested in?
Well, it's interesting. The employees that we currently had, who were housekeepers, of course, female, and those current employees felt uncomfortable being alone with a male in a room because it's quite close when there's two or three working at the same time on one room. And so we predominantly hired women, but we do have two. One is a groundskeeper and one is maintenance, and both of them are just great.
Well, that's great. And, obviously, and unfortunately, there's quite a stigma associated with the unhoused population. Did you feel like it was necessary to perform any type of background checks before, going through the onboarding process?
Um, we didn't need to because Hospitality House has all that data.
That's
So
really great.
yeah,
Thanks for sharing that experience.
they gave it to us when we hired them.
Wonderful. Thanks. Yeah, thank you, Scott. I appreciate the information. And we'll round out the last item, which is the 2025 Inspire Conference and Marketplace. This was brought to the agenda by Cab, but he hasn't been able to make it the last couple of meetings. So we'll leave it on the agenda and you'll be able to access the links if you have an interest in the Inspire Conference and Marketplace. I think that might do it for our meeting today. And we have just 2 months left in the calendar year. So gosh, I sure hope you guys have a wonderful rest of October and I hope to see you in November.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for everything, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
See you, everybody.